Finally, we made it. The season is about to begin. Welcome everybody to Monza, this beautiful historic racing circuit and the start of a historic new era of DTM with changes to the cars and regulations. But in terms of the racing itself, it's going to be the same format, the same exciting close racing that you've all been used to over the last few years. My name's Chris Hartley. I'm here at a very hot Monza. It's not quite as toasty as it was yesterday during free practice, where it reached almost 31 degrees, but at 29 degrees, it's hot enough for me, let me tell you. And inside those cockpits of these cars during what's going to be a 50-minute race coming up very shortly, it is going to be very physical indeed for these drivers, particularly around this super fast circuit where it's all about breaking into these chicanes, the high-speed corners like Parabolica at the end of the lap, and being brave and committed. So we have a wonderful sight there as our first full grid lines up ready to go, and that is how they're going to line up for the race. Vincent Abril, the rookie, getting on pole position in the HRT Mercedes at the first attempt, but only just 7 thousandths quicker than Danny Hankadeo, who comes back to DTM after a season away. Arjun Maini is up there as well. We've got drivers to look forward to. Lots of new drivers, lots of familiar faces on the grid as well. Timo Glock is one of them. He returns to DTM for the 2021 season.
Timo, it's well, a very different setup, I would say. GT3, how do you rate it so far?
Yeah, it's a totally different scenario for me. I mean, I don't have much experience in these cars, and I have to say I struggled quite a bit at the beginning of testing, but I have to say today I was quite happy being in the ballpark of the other BMWs, only 1/10 behind, and using the new Space Drive steering system, which seems like they have good potential and have a good feeling for it. So that's very positive. But it's it's different. It's harder to understand the car and get everything out of it.
Monza is a very special racetrack, a lot of history. So how do you feel about that?
It's great. I mean, Monza is every time it's special because it's a unique circuit and it has a lot of history. So and normally it's good for racing. So looking forward to it.
We have 2 drivers in the field with Formula 1 experience, yourself and Alex Albon. So very good for the young guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's good to see him as well in a GT car, and you can see it's not easy for him as well to adapt to it. When you come from Formula 1, the driving style is quite a bit different. So, but I think he's doing a good job, and let's see what we can do in the race. If maybe I can fight a bit with him.
In Italy, they would say to you, "Good luck, buona fortuna, grazie."
Thank you.
Thanks very much. So Timo Glock there has, ex-Formula 1 driver. He had 94 Grand Prix. 3 times he made it onto the podium in Formula 1 with the best finish of 2nd place at the 2008 Hungarian Grand Prix. We've got Alex Albon, as many of you will already know, on the grid this weekend as well in an AF Corsa Ferrari, and he was 7th in the Formula 1 Championship last year, his first full season as a Red Bull racer. Right, all these different manufacturers that we've got with us then, and some of them new names to DTM, like Ferrari, like Lamborghini. Last year we had BMW and Audi. Mercedes are back with us as well. So we've got 5 different manufacturers on the grid, as you can see from those iconic logos, which is a great sight. We've got 12 different rookies on the grid. You've got drivers like Timo Glock coming back into DTM, very experienced driver now with 130 races in DTM underneath his belt, as working for TV, about to conduct an interview for him for German television. Timo Scheider, former double champion. And there's Arjun Maini making his DTM debut this weekend, a very talented young racer. First came across him when he was in his single-seater days. Seems to have been racing for a long time, but he's still only in his early 20s. He's been concentrating on Asian Le Mans racing for the last couple of seasons. But prior to that, he made it all the way up to Formula 2 and had some good top 6 finishes, was particularly good on street circuits in the 2018 season in Formula 2. Onto the podium at Monaco on 2 occasions and at Baku as well. And it is a truly international grid. You've got Arjun Maini from India. You've got the 2 Van der Linde brothers as well. Sheldon Van der Linde, you'll be familiar with from DTM 2020. There he is, race winner, first ever South African to take a victory. That was at Assen after he became the first South African to get on the podium a few weeks prior to that at the Lausitz Ring. But his older brother, Kelvin Van der Linde, is also racing in the championship this weekend. He's new to DTM, but hugely experienced, a former double ADAC German GT champion. And we can hear from Kelvin now.
Kelvin, may we say welcome to DTM, the rookie?
Yeah, I'm awesome to be here. Awesome to be finally, after so many years of trying, achieving one of my biggest dreams, the motorsport. So today's a special day. Qualifying wasn't ideal, so obviously it could be a bit better. Now on the race, I think we showed a good long run in practice, so I think there's definitely potential to move forward. And yeah, the championship is long, so today's goal is more to score important points, and our day will come at some point.
You're in the same race as your brother. Did you share some secrets? Did he tell you something?
We chat after every session, and naturally, I mean, you discuss the track conditions, what you could do better. We try and push each other to be better, and we really take the most out of each other as competitors and as brothers. So both of us are profiting from it. Unfortunately, he's a bit further back today, but I'm sure he'll be fighting back as well.
Everybody talks about Monza, the history, the charisma of this track. What about you?
I mean, it's special to be here, especially, you know, for the DTM to come to a track like this for the first race of the season. I'm hoping for great racing today. Should be some overtaking spots with the long straight, so let's see.
Grazie, buona fortuna.
Thank you very much.
So Kelvin van der Linde there, just before we came on air, so he was pretty relaxed at the side of the track, having a chat with another of our newcomers, Esme Hawkey, the sole British driver on the grid this weekend. That's because Gary Paffett, who's due to drive in the championship, has got to miss the first couple of weekends. The double champion, terrific DTM driver, so he's got Formula E duties. He's working as a development driver there. However, he has got an excellent replacement, because that's Max Buch, who's substituting for him and has been looking pretty quick this weekend. And there's a man that many will hotly tip for success this year, Nico Muller. Runner-up in the championship last year, 6 race wins. He's switched teams with Team Rosberg now, who had so much success in the Teams Championship and the Drivers' Championship, of course, over the last couple of years with René Rast. But he's back on the 4th row of the grid for this one with some work to do. Liam Lawson, another new name. He's dovetailing his DTM commitments with Formula 2 this year as well. He's already been a winner in that series. He's the youngest driver on this grid. He's only 19, a young driver from Hastings in New Zealand. And another driver coming into DTM for the first time this season is the German ace, Sophia Florsch. We can hear from her down on the grid.
Sophia, welcome to DTM. How do you feel?
Good, really good. I mean, first race coming up now. Quali isn't really as wanted, let's say. But, you know, there's 50 minutes of racing now. First corner in Monza is always special, so we'll try and see what we can do. I'm going to push and maybe overtake some cars, so it's good. I'm looking forward to it.
Monza is a very special racetrack. Everybody loves it.
Again?
Monza is a very special racetrack. Everybody loves it.
Yeah, well, Monza is really special, you know. But especially the first corner will be really interesting, and then many overtakes will happen.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Lots for Sophia to get used to with these cars. She's been involved in the pre-season test, but of course in very different weather conditions, in cold and sometimes snowy conditions at Hockenheim a few months ago, and adapting to the car, having raced last year in the FIA Formula 3 Championship. Prior to that, single-seaters really has been a focus in things like German Formula 4, the Macau Grand Prix, where she had that big accident a couple of years ago, but bravely came back from it to race again the following season. And she also had a good season in 2019 in Formula Regional in the European Championship there, with a best result of 2 fourth-place finishes and 7th overall in the championship. We saw some shots of some of the other new faces on the grid. Esteban Muth, the driver from just outside Brussels in Belgium, who's looking pretty sharp this weekend in the Lamborghini. One of the the teammate to Esme Hawkey, who's coming to the championship later. Max Gotts, who was quickest in one of the free practice sessions. And he's back into the DTM. He'll be looking for his first ever podium, maybe even first ever race win in the championship. He's not been involved in DTM since the 2017 season. His best ever finish in the championship is a 4th place finish at Moscow. Similar hot conditions to this, if I remember rightly. And Lucas Auer, who was a race winner for BMW last year, well, he had a year away prior to that from DTM, but he used to be a Mercedes driver in DTM. He's had some good seasons running in the top 6 in the championship, and multiple race wins as well for Lucas Auer. So the likeable Austrian going well in the top 3 in the qualifying session this morning. So it's all set up, poised and ready to go here at Monza for the first race of the 2021 season. We're about to go. So Italy, the The first ever visit to Monza for the DTM. The DTM has been to Italy before at places like Adria, Mugello and Misano, but Monza has never hosted a DTM race before. This beautiful city, which is about 80 kilometres away from Milan, and set inside this huge park, this walled Monza Park is the circuit. The park itself is 688 hectares. That's nearly 7 kilometres squared. It's the largest walled park in Europe. Beautiful walk in this morning in the sunshine. About 8 o'clock in the morning, everybody out running, walking their dogs. Lots of cyclists as well. And the grandstand sadly empty of fans this weekend, but hopefully when we come back to Monza in the future, we'll have the Italian fans here in full voice. But we are just pleased to be back racing after 8 months now since the end of the 2020 season. There you can see the circuit map, and it's almost 5.8 kilometres long, 11 corners. And as Alex Albon said yesterday in the press conference, this track is all about braking and picking the braking points, but it's difficult because the braking points are always so far away where you're charging down these very quick straights. It's also about riding the curbs correctly, and if you can, getting a slipstream, as Danny Hunkedaer then, who last raced in DTM in 2019 for our Motorsport in an Aston Martin, but he's done a good job here. He almost got pole position, just 700ths of a second away from Vincent Abril, who's put his car on pole position. The Mercedes dominating the first 4 places on the grid. Abril is on pole, Hunkedaer is second, Luca Sauer qualified third, and Max Gotts, who we've seen qualifying 4th. So there is your pole sitter, the first pole of this new era, and it's on his debut weekend. Terrific effort from Vincent Abril, who looked good from the word go in free practice 1 yesterday, where he was up in the top 5 and only a few thousandths of a second away from the fastest time there. He's got the distinctive yellow and blue colours on this Mercedes. You can't miss him. He's one of the Team HRT drivers, the Monegasque, and he is somebody who brings a lot of GT racing experience to the table. Former Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup champion. There is the rocket-sponsored Esme Hawkey. It's had such a good couple of seasons racing in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB. I've been enjoying her racing, where as a Pro-Am champion, she's also been mixing it up there with a lot of the pro drivers in that championship and getting overall podium finishes. So the reigning pro-class champion in Porsche Carrera Cup GB, 9 class wins last year. She comes into DTM having had very little time in the car, but she managed to qualify really well in the middle of the grid, given this is all new to her. She has raced at Monza before, when the Porsche Carrera Cup GB came here for an away weekend a few seasons ago. So there is your front row of the grid. To the left, Vincent Abril, the Monegasque, and to the right, Danny Hunkedaer, both in these wonderful looking Mercedes, these big V8s, the huge rear wings on the back. And of course Ferrari here in Italy. What a story that would be if they could get a good result here this weekend. We've seen Liam Lawson, and that is the car of Formula 1 racer Alexander Albon, the dual nationality Thai British driver whose dad was a touring car racer, Nigel Albon, in the British Touring Car Championship. Also used to race Porsches, his dad, and was very successful racing those in Asia. Did some Renault Clio Cup racing as well, so it's in the blood. And the young gun in the AlphaTauri AF Corsa car, just 25 years of age. He's had some great seasons in single-seaters on his way to Formula 1. In things like GP3 and Formula 2, where he finished 3rd overall a few years ago, just behind George Russell and Lando Norris. And he'll be keen to make his mark. Of course, he's the big name that they're all looking to try and beat. He's a bit further down the grid for this one, but went really well in the first free practice session, where he was up there in the top 3, as was Liam Lawson. But as he said, he's only had 6 days in these types of car. There are a lot of drivers who've had thousands of kilometres driving this type of car that he's up against. So he might be a Formula 1 driver, but he's not necessarily going to be the favourite in these cars on this first weekend. But he certainly acquitted himself well. Terrific driver is Alex, a really good guy as well, and spoke very well in the press conference that we had yesterday over in the media centre about what realistically it's going to be like to drive these cars, saying that things like ABS and traction control he's just not used to. He's grown up without those things in single-seaters, so he says you might think that sort of thing would help you as a driver, but actually, unless you know how to use them properly and you know all the little tips and tricks of how to use them, they can be very difficult. So we've got a 50-minute race coming up. It'll be the same again tomorrow, another qualifying session, another race tomorrow. That will also be 15 minutes in duration. As ever in DTM, a mandatory pit stop, and that pit window opens after the leader crosses the line on the 5th lap of the race. You can pit during a safety car period, but if you pit during a safety car period, that won't count as one of your mandatory stops. One of the big changes to the DTM this year is going to be in the start, because no longer will we have standing starts in DTM. We now switch to rolling starts for all of the races. So our first chance to get a look at this wonderful Monza circuit. As I mentioned a couple of times in the other sessions, third oldest purpose-built racetrack in the world. This only behind Brooklands and Indianapolis. It'll be 100 years old next year. They go through the first chicane at Rettifilo from the start-finish line. That's going to be a tight squeeze as they all try and bunch up, under-braking into there. Can't run wide, really, because of that big gravel trap there on the right. So you accelerate out of there and head through the right-hand corner at Curva Grande, building up the speed. There's the aerial view of the circuit. You can see that we're right on the edge of the park here. And then they head down towards the next chicane at Valiante della Roggia. Hard on the brakes again. Another left-right chicane, as you can see at the top of your screen. And then they just about head towards the furthest point of the circuit at Curva de Lesmo. The Lesmo curves, double apex right-handers before heading onto the back straight. So a reminder of how the grid is going to shape up. On pole position, Vincent Abril in the HRT Mercedes. Danny Hunkadea for Grupo M Racing is alongside the Spaniard, starting second on the grid. Then on the second row, third and fourth, we've got Lucas Auer for Team Winward in the Mercedes, and Max Scott's also in a Mercedes for Team HRT. On row three then, we've got Esteban Muts, the Belgian driver for T3 Motorsport. Great job in the Lamborghini. And then we've got Philip Ellis for Team Winward, who was quickest in the second free practice session yesterday. He's also in Mercedes. Row four, we've got Liam Lawson in the Red Bull AF Corsa Ferrari, and Nico Muller in the Team Rosberg Audi. And to complete the top 10, Kelvin van der Linde in the Team Abt Sportsline Audi, and Mercedes AMG Team Muka Motorsports car of Max Buch just alongside him, with Rockenfeller and Hawkey on row 6, Miney and Albon on row 7, Vittman and van der Linde, Sheldon van der Linde on row 8, row 9, Timo Glock and Dev Gore, the American driver for Team Rosberg, teammate to Nico Muller and new to the championship this year. And Sophia Florsch, who looked pretty good in practice, but qualifying didn't go away, has to start on her own on the 10th row of the grid. So it'll be 19 cars for the start of this 2020 season. We've got other drivers that will be coming in and out of the championship as well. So Gary Paffett to come. We'll have the likes of Nick Cassidy and ex-Formula One racer Christian Kleen making some appearances during the course of the year as well. But we are almost here and ready to go. The formation lap almost complete as the cars start to bunch up now behind the safety car. They're entering the final corner of the Parabolica. You can see the kart track there just on the inside of the Parabolica, which is being used quite a lot this weekend. And we're about to get the 2021 season underway. Chris Hartley here, trackside. The track temperature is going to be testing, because that is almost 44 degrees. The air temperature creeping up over 29 degrees. And it's Vincent Abril on pole position from Danny Hunkadea, who is going to get the victory. Will it be a first victory in his first race for the rookie? Right on cue, here they come over the grid hatchings. And all the waiting is over. Now it's all about the racing. It's all about the red lights, which are about to go out, about to be extinguished. They creep up towards the line, side by side, and the race gets underway. DTM 2021 is go. Vincent Abril has made a terrific start. Max Scutz is trying to get in the mix as well. Look, in the second of the pink Mercedes. Danny Hunkadea looks to go around the outside, but Vincent Abril should just have his nose in front on the way into the first chicane. Everybody now squeezes up, and in the middle of the pack, it's a very tight squeeze as they go side by side, but actually everybody gives each other just enough room. But it's Vincent Abril on pole position that converts that into an early race lead. See Alex Albon in the Ferrari trying to make his way through as well. Danny Hunkadea in second. Good start for Max Kurtz in third, getting ahead of Lucas Auer, who's on the back foot a little bit at the start of the race and might be about to lose another one. Philip Ellis has gone down the inside now of him all the way into the second of the chicanes. But we've got one or two cars running out and wide there. That was Liam Lawson in the Ferrari taking to the grass, but he gets away with it. That will affect his traction and, of course, his run up towards top speed as well, as we track the cars through the heli. But here at the head of the field, although he's not really getting away, our race leader has made the ideal start. Philip Ellis, you can see up to fourth place there. One or two kicking up the dust and running through the gravel at the back of the field, but we've had a couple of incidents like that, but nobody's got stuck in the gravel yet as they make their way through Variante Ascari through this last of the chicanes and then onto the back straight down towards Curva Parabolica. And the Rover BMWs that kicked up the dust at the back of the field, possibly Glock, but wait and confirm that. But anyway, they'll all survive, and they're all about to end the first lap of the race. Abril leads into Parabolica, but he is being absolutely shadowed by Ungadea and the Group M Racing machine and the Team HRT Max Scott's machine as well. BMW struggling a little bit in qualifying, although they look pretty handy in free practice. Over the line at the end of the first lap of the race, past the commentary box window they go. And is that Philip Ellis with a problem to the left of the screen, dropping back? I'm afraid it looks like he has got an issue. He crossed the line in 4th place, but he is dropping all the time down the field. So Auer's got back up into 4th place now. Lawson will be 5th. Muller will end up 6th at the end, or at least at the start of lap 2. So he's made a couple of positions up in the Audi from Book, who's just behind him, Kelvin van der Linde, and there, I'm afraid, Philip Ellis. They didn't go out at all in the first free practice session yesterday, and he only did 6 laps in the second free practice session, but they were very quick laps, which is why he ended that particular session at the top of the times. But I'm afraid the Swiss driver, former Audi TC Cup champion, looks to be the first retirement of the season. There's Sophia Florsch at the back of the field. I think it was Timo Glock in the BMW that we saw running wide on the first lap through the gravel, but he has survived. So 0.4 of a second was the advantage for Vincent Abril at the end of that first lap of the race. And Cadea pretty much hanging on to him. Great shot as they go under the bridge there. The static camera just gives you the sense of speed as they charge through that part of the course. And up towards Curva de Viglione, up the top of the hill. There the marshals, excellent job by them to already remove the stricken Mercedes of Philip Ellis from the circuit, so there'll be no worries. They don't think about any safety cars being deployed. So terrific job by the Monza marshals. Excellent volunteers here at this circuit, without whom we couldn't go racing. So they've done a terrific job there, and it should be clear for the leaders when they come back through, which are about to do at the end of this second lap of the race. Right, through they go. Not sure Abril has really got away any more on that lap, and in fact the fastest lap of the race has just gone to Lucas Auer in 4th place. He was half a second quicker than Abril, the race leader. Abril was a touch quicker than the Team Mercedes of Hungadea and Gotts behind him. And you can see how they close up under braking, particularly at Hungadea on the way into that first chicane at Rettifilo. So Auer may be the one to watch there in 4th place. 5 times a race winner in the DTM. And it's been good progress for Alex Albon as well, up to 12th place, but I'm afraid we've lost the 12 car of Dev Gaulle there. The Team Rosberg Audi has had, it looks like, a moment coming out of the first corner. So yellow flags waving there, and hopefully, again, he's pretty close to an escape route out of the circuit there. He might be able to move the car. Can we see what happened? Was he helped along the way? Yes, it looked like he might just have had a bit of contact from behind there. Timo Glock had to take to the curbs going into the corner, and there might just have been the slightest of taps which upset the back end of the Audi and sent the American around into a spin. So not the ideal start to the season for him, but Dev Gaulle certainly acquitted himself pretty well so far in terms of the speed that he's had. He's got an excellent car, an excellent team behind him with Team Rosberg, we know, but it's going to be a big learning curve in DTM. All of the drivers in this championship have all been successful, be it in DTM, be it other forms of racing in another championship, so the quality is extremely high. So Vincent Abril leading by 0.6 of a second at the start of the lap, but that has come right down. Ungadea second, Gotts third, Auer fourth, Lawson up to 5th, Muller up to 6th, Max Book up to 7th, Kelvin van der Linde is 8th, Esteban Moot is the first of the Lamborghinis. Somebody else that didn't do all that many laps, Esteban Moot, particularly in the first free practice session. But when he did take to the track, he looked very handy indeed. So I think he's going to be a young driver to watch out for. He's another 19-year-old. He's not quite as young as Liam Lawson, but he's very much a teenager. Well, the Lamborghinis in the T3 Motorsport run team. 5.2 litre naturally aspirated Lamborghini, which looks to have good pace here. Lamborghini and Ferrari in their DTM debut this weekend. Right, there's a big queue now formed up behind Vincent Abril, but they're not finding any chinks in his armour yet. He's been able to keep them at bay. And there is the battle for 11th place between Esme Hawkey in the Lamborghini and Alex Albon in the Ferrari. So this is fantastic for Esme Hawkey in front of a Formula One racer here. Development driver he might be, but racing as recently as last year, Alex Albon, twice a podium finisher. I like Italy because his first ever podium in Formula One came at the Tuscan Grand Prix last year at Mugello. Got another podium at Bahrain towards the end of the year. And he's breathing down the neck of Esme Hawkey, but given that she's had so little time pre-season in the car, doing an excellent job. There is Esme in the number 26 car, 11th place for her. Albon right behind her. Tyre degradation will be an issue in these conditions as well. They've all got Michelin tyres, all of course on slicks, and they are all a medium compound tyre which will wear away. Alex Albon said it's, it does drop off quite significantly towards the end of a run, because they're bigger, heavier cars than he's used to. That takes a little bit of managing as a driver. Right, Albon gets a good run here, coming out to Parabolica. He's right underneath the rear wing of Esme Hawkey. Is he going to be brave enough to stab it down the inside? I'm not sure he's going to get a chance, because Esme Hawkey knew what was coming, and she just sits on the racing line in the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. But now he's going to squeeze down the inside at the last second. He runs wide in the Ferrari, though, as he's trying to come back at him. Just behind, you've got the BMW trying to get in on the action as well of Marco Vittman, the two-time DTM champion. Terrific battle here as they come out of the corner. Albon tried, he succeeded briefly, but coming out of the corner, he lost all his momentum, and it might cost him a place here, I think, as they go down in towards the next sector, because he's on the outside line as they come out of Curva Grande, and sure enough, the BMW goes through. Or was it Albon or was it Hawkey? They were side by side in the back of the picture as they went into the corner, absolutely nose to nose as they went through. But in between the pair of them now has come the BMW of Marco Vittman, ever the experienced driver. It was Albon that was lunging down the inside, as I suspected. He just clipped the curb, didn't he, on the way through? Held the line initially, but he had to really back them up coming out of the corner. It was the last of the late breakers down the inside of Esme Hawkey. Watch on board now as he hits the curb, and that really knocked his exit speed off, but he managed to hold the position. He's given it back away coming out of the corner, but actually Esme Hawkey perhaps had to get off the throttle because she'd suddenly got this Ferrari in front of her. She was the one that lost the place to Marco Vittman. And that was another BMW for company as they come through the next time in sector. That of Sheldon van der Linde, DTM race winner. He'll go through with no problems and use all the circuit and then some on the way through Parabolica. Understeering a little bit there, but he survives and gets the place at the end of the lap. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, no change inside the top five. Abril Hungadea got still the top three. Auer fourth, Lawson in fifth, and the pit stops are already happening. Early pit stops then. Coming in for Nico Muller. We've got Mike Rockenfeller, the 2013 champion, in, and Esme Hawkey has come in as well in the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. So 3 early pit stoppers at the earliest possible opportunity. 5 laps.
So you're the first one on the virtual race. Rocky stops with you, another Lambo. No one else. So the race will unfold as this.
Importantly for Muller, he managed to get out ahead of Rockenfeller, both of them ahead of Hawkey, as they should have been, really, because they were both ahead of her before that. So these are the 3 leading pit stoppers. Again, no tyre warmers allowed in DTM, although given the heat of the track, I don't think it'd take too long to get the tyres up to temperature. And Mike Rockenfeller, the 2013 champion. Nico Muller, who recently, just a couple of weeks ago, had a podium finish in the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Right, here's the battle at the head of the field. I would say that Hungadea has just made a bit of a break now from Gotts in third. I'm going to get a replay. That's flying off Danny Hungadea's car. A little bit of trim by the looks of things. Hopefully nothing too important. We've also got Liam Lawson pressing Lucas Auer for 4th place at the start of the lap. I think he's still with him, just in the back of the shot. So there then, Daniel Hungadea, 30 years of age, the man from Barcelona. He also made it onto the podium at the Nürburgring 24-hour race with the Get Speed team, alongside Max Gotts as one of his teammates, and Raffaele Marciello as well, just a couple of weeks ago in a weather-interrupted race. I think they lost 14 hours in the Nürburgring 24 with fog. No problems like that today with the weather. But you can see definitely the top two have just made a bit of a break for it now, and this will really help Hunkadea in second place because he no longer has to worry about defending from Max Gott. So free to go on the attack here if he can. For now, Lucas Auer in fourth place has just managed to creep away again from the Ferrari of Liam Lawson. Remember, this is all new to Liam, this type of racing as well, these types of cars, so doing a terrific job. Max Buchan's the next in line, 0.7 of a second down. Currently rounding out the top six, Kelvin van der Linde, the best of the Audis in seventh. Again, somebody that's won at the Nürburgring 24 hours and a double GT Masters champion. It's the VW Sirocco Cup where I first came across Kelvin a good few years ago now, where he was racing on the support build to the DTM and he won that championship. He's had an excellent career since, but he's been itching to get in the DTM. Now's the chance to do it, the 24-year-old from Johannesburg in South Africa. His brother Sheldon van der Linde currently in 8th place. Nico Muller, Mike Rockenfeller, Esme Hawkey, the three that have made the pit stops so far at the back of the field. We've lost Dev Gordon, we've lost Philip Ellis early on in this 50-minute race. See how close it is, and well, we knew it was going to be like that because I think 64 thousandths of a second between the top 5 in the first free practice session, which kind of set the tone. And then Liam Lawson pushing hard. Could be a very likely could be a Formula 1 star of the future, that young driver. We've got 2 more coming into the pits then, and it's Kelvin van der Linde and Esteban Moot coming in as well in the Lamborghini Huracan. He's a driver that's, again, very young, 19 years of age, former Belgian karting champion, French F4 racer. Based here at Monza in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. Good stop for Kelvin van der Linde.
Fucking idiots, man. Honestly. We need to communicate with them.
But he's not happy about the release.
Copy, Kelvin. Stay cool.
Stay cool. Apologies for the fruity language, but as you can imagine, in the heat of the moment, Kelvin van der Linde doesn't want to lose an inch here. He might lose a position on track, though, because with his tyres already up to temperature, Muller is going to get him on the way into the first corner. Yeah, it was the entrance, really. He had to take a very steep angle, almost went over the toes of the mechanic from the other squad right next door. So he was not pleased about that. And, of course, a fraction of a second, well, as you can see, could cost you a place. And it has. So this is the battle between the leading pit stoppers, which are now Muller in the 51 car, the Audi of Kelvin van der Linde just behind, and Mike Rockenfeller. Those 3 Audis tied together. Quite such a good pit stop for Esteban Moot, but he has survived nonetheless and got through his first DTM pit stop with not too many troubles. He selected GT4 European Series races last year, and a couple of years ago, his last full campaign, he was 5th in the Toyota Racing Series down in New Zealand, and a race winner in that championship as well. Right, pit stop starting to come thick and fast now, and it is the Mercedes of Lucas Auer, the first of the front runners to come in from 4th place. Behind Marco Vittman coming in as well in the BMW. So in for his first pit stop. Only 2 wheel guns allowed in DTM pit stops. 6 team members can work on the cars, and it's a change of all 4 tyres. They'll be limited in most events after this first one to 3 sets of tyres to cover free practice, qualifying and the race. But for this first weekend, or any team's first weekend in the DTM, even if that comes later in the season, you get 5 sets of these Michelin tyres. Squeal as the tyres protest in anger as the cars are released. So these are the drivers that have been in the pits. Muller, 51, still leading the charge from van der Linde, Kelvin, and Mike Rockenfeller. And then it's going to be Marco Vittman, not too far behind. He's just, for now at least, managed to get out ahead of Esteban Moot, but whether he'll be able to stay out ahead of him, not sure, because the Lamborghini is all over the back of the BMW as they make their way through Curva Grande now, and he's surely going to try and pounce here while Marco gets himself back up to speed. Esteban Moot, the Belgian driver, draws alongside, but Marco Vittman knows exactly where to put the car. Brave stuff around the outside. Moot takes to the curb, goes wide, takes to the gravel, stays on the curb, loses the place again, and Marco Vittman just about fends him off. But that was a brave effort from Esteban. all the way around the outside. You got more road to cover, you got less margin for error, and you got to trust the guy alongside you that he doesn't slip wide and run into the side of you. So brave stuff. Inch perfect it was almost, but in the end, coming out of the corner, just lost that little bit of room and took half a wheel or so to the gravel, and that was where he lost the place again. But he's still on the back of Marco Vittman as they make their way to the top of the crest and through the last of the chicanes. And Liam Lawson is in from the top 5 as well. So the AF Corsa team release him, Amato Ferrari's team. Home venue this for them, not just because they're Italian, but because they're only 80 kilometres down the road, just outside Milan. Huge success for the AF Corsa team in the Le Mans 24 hours. Taken 3 class wins there. They've won the team has won 6 team and driver titles and 5 manufacturer titles for Ferrari in the FIA World Endurance Championship as well. So they know what they're doing. Might have 2 drivers that are new to this type of racing, but they are in very good hands with AF Corsa. And Liam Lawson, rather not exactly unexpectedly, has come out in front of Muller, because he was in front of him before the pit stop. So he's the leading pit stopper now, Liam Lawson. Marco Vittman still managing to keep the Lamborghini at bay. So doing a great job. Didn't really have that competitive a car in the DTM last year, but he's such a good driver that still on quite a few occasions he was able to drag it up onto the podium or close to the podium. You don't win 2 DTM titles if you're not an excellent driver. A man from southern Germany, making that BMW as wide as he can now. He's actually just started to maybe edge away, maybe, but it's very fractional from Esteban Moot. So good scrap going on there between the pair of them. But of course, they're relatively early pit stops. The mandatory pit stop now done. They're going to have long second stints, these drivers, and in this heat, with that track temperature, could be a worry with the tyres come the end of the race. V10 Lamborghini just falling away a little bit at this stage, and here is the Ferrari of Alex Albon having his first DTM pit stop. That looked pretty handy from the team.
I see a little bit of wheel spin with the car up. Watch out for ABS error. In case you will not have...
Yeah, ABS, traction control, all those things to get used to for Alex. So where's he going to come out here in relation to his teammate behind him, I would say, but maybe just in front of Muller. So Lawson, the leading pit stopper. Then it's going to be Albon, but for how long? Because here comes Nico Muller committed to the outside line here on the way into Reggio Emilia. The Audi's going to just about squeeze through, I think. Alex Albon can't get off the gas for too long, though, because he's got another Audi in the shape of Kelvin van der Linde drawing alongside him now. The number 3 car going wing mirror to wing mirror. What a great moment this is. Side by side with a Formula 1 driver from the 2020 season is Kelvin van der Linde. The South African will have the inside line for the chicane. He knows it. He knows he's just got to stay where he is, and he should be through. Don't overcommit to the corner. Make sure you're quick on the exit. And he knows exactly where to put the car. So Kelvin van der Linde gets through as well. So Liam Lawson, the leading pit stopper. He's about 1.8 seconds ahead of this battle between Nico Muller and Kelvin van der Linde and Alex Albon. Error replay. There was not much room for error there. Terrific driving from both of them. And then Kelvin van der Linde watched it all going on from just behind and pounced on the way out of the corner. Right, the race leader comes in. Alex Albon's had his pit stop, and now it is the time of Vincent Abril to come in. I think he's the only one in at the moment as well. So Danny Hunkerdale will pick up the lead for now, with Gotts and Boot moving up to 2nd and 3rd respectively. Tyres on. There's a new system with the tyres this year. They've got barcodes on the tyres and little chips inside them, so they go past
Okay, now push like hell, okay? It's slow tyres, but you need to push.
Yes, please drive fast, is the message there to Vincent. I think he was probably going to do that anyway. But yeah, they've got these chips and barcodes on the tyres, so automatically they register as they go past the transponder on the pit wall, and it knows that they've got the right tyres on. He's got out in front of Liam Lawson, but only just. This effectively is going to be for the lead of the race. Liam Lawson trying to squeeze around the outside. He knows this is his opportunity, and he takes it with both hands. The Kiwi is through. Abril down to 2nd of the drivers that have been in the pits. and they're free to battle because there's a big gap back then to Nico Müller, the third best placed of the pit stoppers, but who's going to have some pretty old tyres towards the end of this race, having come into the pits very early on indeed. So Liam Lawson there, he didn't need asking twice, did he? I'm up to speed. I know you're in front of me, but I'm going to have a better break, a better run, better tyres coming into the chicane, and he knew that he had to commit because he couldn't afford to get held up there. And now he needs to get his head down because, of course, he's going to have slightly older tyres than Abril. Not much, but by a couple of laps at the end of the race. Here's a replay. Terrific driving. How close are they? But without contact. It's excellent driving from Liam Lawson. Hansen Abril knew he could fight to a point, but not for too long. Didn't want to hold himself up as much as anything. So Abril gets up to speed. And that's Danny Hunkerdale coming into the pits now. So Max Scotts will pick up the lead for now. Max Boot will move up to second place. Still a Mercedes 1-2. But where is Hunkerdale going to come out in relation to that battle between Liam Lawson and Vincent Abril? Remember, he was right behind Vincent Abril, so he's going to come out pretty close to them as long as the pit stop goes to plan. He'll maybe come out in front of them, but will he be able to keep them behind? We're about to find out. Look for the Ferrari.
Abril at pit exit, they'll be fighting. Expect Lawson and Abril at pit exit.
Right, there they come. They're already clear, So, in fact, he's going to come out behind that Müller squabble, isn't he? So that has not worked out in terms of track position for Danny Hunkerdale, but he will have far fresher tyres than the likes of Nico Müller and Mike Rockenfeller come the end of the race. And Alex Albon now starting to get into the swing of things, trying to come back at the pair of them, and he's right on the case of Kelvin van der Linde in the number 3 Audi. So interesting the way this is going to turn out, where we're almost going to race to two halves here. Albon's made the move on the Audi. He's alongside. He's not in front yet, though. And Kelvin van der Linde keeps him at bay. Don't care if you're racing Formula 1. I know what to do in this Audi, and I'm going to keep you behind me. Fascinating battle. But Alex has come into this completely level-headed. He as he always does, really. He knows that he's not just going to rock up and be at the front in this championship. He knows it's going to take a bit of fine-tuning and getting used to. But given he's never raced anything like this before, doing an excellent job, as I say. And he's up against people like Kelvin van der Linde, who's been racing this type of car for the best part of a decade now. And van der Linde just knew where to put the car. But there's a great battle going on between them as Max Scotts comes in from the lead of the race. So Max Boot stays out. And the number 18 Mercedes, he will lead, but he's yet to make his pit stop. Arjun Maini will move up to second place. He's yet to make a pit stop as well. Great roar from the Mercedes as it makes its way underneath the speed limit.
Ferrari coming and Vince.
So Max Scotts, can he get his first podium? We've also got one of the Rover BMWs in. It's Timo Glock, who got all the way up to 5th place. Right, this is effectively for the lead of the race. Liam Lawson is there, Abril is there, and he's going to come out just behind the pair of them, but just in front of Nico Müller, and Nico now needs to make his move, really. Still got that fight going on behind with Albon and van der Linde, and Albon's gone down the inside of the Ferrari. Can he make it stick this time? He runs a bit wide on the exit onto the curbs with all 4 wheels, but I think he's done it. So Alex Albon ahead of Kelvin van der Linde. But what about this battle between Max Scotts and the pink Mercedes and the grey, silver and red Audi? The Team Rosberg Audi. Seems strange to say that after the last few years of Nico Müller. Right, can't find a way through yet as they make their way through the Variante del Roger. Not really going to be an opportunity at the Lesmo curves either, which they're going into now. So right, it's a tiny link straight, and then you go right again, back on yourself, and then building up the speed through the Curva del Seraglio, and up towards the last of the chicanes at Curva del Viglione and Variante Ascari, and another long straight towards the Parabolica at the end of the lap. Esteban Moot has dropped back now from Marco Vittman after their earlier ding-dong, which was great to watch for a couple of laps. So Müller is in the mix, but how are the tyres going to hold up at the end of the race? It's one of the early pit stoppers. Alex Albon seems to be coming after him, that is for sure. The Ferrari's really in the zone at the moment. And Max Boot leads the way. Arjun Maini second. Sophia Florsch up to 3rd place in DTM. Of course, none of those 3 have been into the pits yet, but they're doing a decent job, trying a different tact here. Sophia Florsch trying to get up into the top 10 and into the points for the first time, having had to start this race from the back of the field. Right, here comes Alex Albon then on the tail of Nico Müller. They are currently 4th and 5th of the pit stoppers, so this could in the end be for a podium. Alex Albon looks the quicker of the two, but Nico Müller knows where to put the car. On the way into the Rettifilo, he stays ahead. Does he run wide on the way out? Yes, not by much though. Danny Hungadea just behind, not quite able to get onto terms with them yet. And we've started this race second. They'll want at least a podium out of this race as we get a replay of this activity between Müller and Albon, who go side by side again, and there's bodywork traded that time as Albon comes through and gains a place. No more Mr. Nice Guy, and it could be another place lost here for Müller because he's got the Mercedes of Danny Hungadea drawing alongside him now as they come out of the Curva Grande side by side. No room though, and onto the gravel he goes, so he loses a place to the number 3 Audi of Kelvin van der Linde. Terrific stuff. Well, he was having none of it. Albon, first of all, with the decisive move. Müller was on the back foot, but he was not going to lose any more places, and he certainly wasn't going to let Danny Hungadea through. So they go down into the dip, under the bridge, and uphill into the next braking zone. Danny Hungadea side by side with Kelvin van der Linde. The Mercedes gets to the corner first. Van der Linde has been involved in lots of the action. Lights flashing there for Hungadea, which I think means I'm not very happy with you. I think is the message that he's trying to convey to the man that he just went wheel to wheel with, Nico Müller. Well, Nico will just shrug it off, the Swiss driver. Seen it all before. So through the incredible parabolica they go, hanging on to the cars here, stay flat. The car's already hugely quick as they make their way onto the start-finish straight. 22 minutes of the race, just under, to go now. And there's going to be more tales to tell, going to be more twists and turns in this with these temperatures and the tyre degradation. Air temperatures stayed the same, but the track temperature is nearly 45 degrees now. It continues to rise. Nico Müller really having to work hard to keep Danny Hungadea behind him. At the moment, it's the battle for 8th place, but you've got the top 3 that should fall back behind this lot. Liam Lawson is 4th at the moment, but he should be the race leader once those final few pit stops are made. But then you're going to have the fun and games of the likes of Buch and Miney and Florsch with fresh tyres going properly on the attack at the end of the race against others who are maybe their rubber is a bit worse for wear in the last 10 minutes or so of the race. So there's going to be lots of action to look forward to once the specs here at Monza. Nico Müller fighting hard, the driver that gets better and better and better every year. And, well, it was only the great René Rast that could beat him to the title last year. Had a superb season. But he was, even though he missed out, as he said at the end of the year, very proud of the way he'd gone about it. He never gave up, even when he was on the back foot. It was the Zolder weekends that cost him, really. The penultimate weekend of the season and the weekend before that, where he lost out, and going into Hockenheim he was definitely second favourite for the title, but he never once gave up. Still gave René Rast a run for his money at the start of the weekend. Right, this is the race leader. Might be temporarily, but he's the race leader, yet to make his pit stops. Or his pit stop, his mandatory pit stop, is Max Buch, the German driver, 28-year-old from northern Germany. Former Blancpain GT Series racing champion. Right, he can see the toe, the slipstream in effect as the Mercedes hones in on the Audi. It's all about the braking now. Hungadea can't get past Müller there. Can he get him on the way out of the corner? They're both losing ground to Alex Albon. Kelvin van der Linde falling away a bit, and then you got Mike Rockenfeller there under pressure from Marco Vittman. Vittman again, just dragging everything out of the car. Even if it's not the fastest car, he never gives up, Marco Vittman. And he's going for the inside line through Curva Grande. He'll be on the outside line for the left hand of the first part of the chicane that's coming up, but he's already made it through. Another good move, that, from Marco Vittman. He continues to impress. So ahead of Rockenfeller, ahead of the 2013 champion. And that, for now, will be 11th place, but it could be for 8th place once the top 3 make their pit stops. Max Buch is 8.5 seconds clear of Arjun Maini. And Arjun Maini, in turn, is 8.6 seconds clear of Sophia Florsch in 3rd place. But it's the Ferrari of Liam Lawson that's made its pit stop. That's the one to watch. And he's 2.5 seconds clear now of Vincent Abril. So Lawson looking really good. He made some good progress in the first couple of laps of the race, and he seemed to have got his head down when it really mattered in that pit stop period, on his in lap and his out lap. And when he got the chance to move through, he was decisive on Vincent Abril. Rockenfeller now just falling away. You suspect in the Team AB Sportsline Audi, the team that won the Teams and Drivers' Championship last year. Audi romping the Manufacturers' Championship. We've also got a Junior DTM Drivers' Championship new for this year, which is for anybody that was born in 1999 or after, so with a maximum age limit of 22. So that's another championship to look out for, as well as the Teams and Manufacturers and the overall Drivers' Championship. Muller under attack again then in this battle for 8th place, but will possibly be for 5th place once the pit stops are complete. And again, he's good enough on the brakes to be able to keep Daniel Hunkedale behind him. So Muller gritting his teeth, digging his heels in and refusing to let go here. The Grupper M Racing Mercedes of Danny Hunkedale just can't quite find a way through. Just the one win in DTM so far. That was back in 2018 for Daniel Hunkedale. That was at Brands Hatch. Oh, there's contact! He's spinning around Nico Muller and gathers it up quickly, but not before the number 3 Kelvin van der Linde Audi comes through, and maybe Marco Vittman to come through as well. Great reaction to recover that quickly from Nico Muller. Was there contact, or was it all on his own? I suspect maybe a little nudge. We'll maybe get a better view on the replay. Here we go. Hunkedale look to the inside. Yeah, just clipped the left rear corner of the Audi. And that was enough, more than enough, to send Nico Muller into a spin. How well did he recover this, though? Pirouetted round, full 360, and off he went again. Shouldn't be too much serious damage to the Audi, so he'll be able to carry on, but he's going to be very frustrated with that. Maybe a little bit of frustration from Daniel Hunkedale as well, who've been stuck behind him for a good few laps now. Kelvin van der Linde takes advantage. A sigh and a roll of the eyes down in the pit garages. Well, he's managed at least to keep Marco Vittman behind him. The double champion might be menacing when they get down to the first corner as they accelerate over the start-finish line. He only really lost 2 or 3 seconds in all of that, Nico Muller. It's a fabulous recovery. On the inside line he has to be again. This time he's trying to defend from a BMW rather than from a Mercedes. All over the curbs is Marco Vittman, throwing everything at this. You can never question the commitment of Marco Vittman, because it's always there for everybody to see in plain sight. Doesn't matter if he's for 14th place or for 1st place. Here we go again. Having a go. This is for 10th as it happens. So it's going to be some points up for grabs here. Not least because the top 3 have yet to make their mandatory stops. They're the only 3 that haven't been in yet, the top 3, and they're leaving it late, but they can leave it as late as they want, as long as they get the pit stop done within the race distance. Max Book is only 23 seconds clear of Liam Lawson. He's 30 seconds clear of Alex Albon. And 35 seconds clear of Kelvin van der Linde. So certainly Max Book has got a good chance of points. Maybe 2. Arjun Maini and Sophia Florsch might come out, which makes a pit stop outside the top 10. She won't be that far outside the top 10. And with some good tyres, you've just got to make the call now as to when you come in, because if you get the new tyres on, you want enough laps to take advantage of them and to be able to use them, don't you? There's no use having fresh rubber, but only 2 or 3 laps to try and use them. You want to go on the attack with that fresh rubber for at least, I would have thought, half a dozen or so laps. A little on board there from Arjun Maini in 2nd place. He's 9.3 seconds behind Max Book now, but 9.9 seconds clear of the 99 car, Sophia Florsch. There she is, the Team AB driver. 3rd at the moment. Liam Lawson 4th. He's not far behind, and he's already made his pit stop as well. It was 2.8 seconds adrift at the start of this lap. The incident between Nico Muller and Daniel Hunkedale is under investigation. The message comes on the screen, but there are no penalties as yet, but they are looking at that incident. The stewards, the stewarding team here at DTM, the experts that will be looking into any contact out on the circuit. Well, Liam Lawson, we had a rookie driver on pole position earlier on today, Vincent Abril. There's a very good chance we might get a rookie as a win. And a pit stop infringement is going to be investigated for number 3, Kelvin van der Linde, after the race. So, well, we heard Kelvin was not too happy. They're going to look at that. And that's another question mark, but that's all to be dealt with after the race, not for us to worry about yet. So Sophia Florsch there in 3rd place, Liam Lawson in 4th position. And Florsch's lap time last time round, 150.2, Lawson 148.3. Remember, Sophia's got very old tyres on that car now, though. She's not lapping too far away from the likes of Max Buch and Arjun Maini, who've got more GT-type experience, far more than she has. So Sophia Florsch, who, as I say, has really come up through single-seaters up to this point, getting used to the car. Right, Arjun Maini comes in from 2nd place. So it's going to be the first pit stop in the DTM for the 23-year-old from Bangalore. He was a development driver for the Haas Formula 1 team just a few years ago for a couple of seasons. As I say, reached the heights of Formula 2 at points, and Formula 3, he's raced at the Macau GP.
As a reminder, cold tires, you will come out on track in front of Luke. So take care, get temperatures into the tires, and then push. We have 10 laps to go.
So looked like a decent stop for the Get Speed team. Team principal Hans-Peter Mondroff, the team based at Moispath, which is right by the Nürburgring, and they had a 3rd place finish at the Nürburgring with Max Gotts. He's going to come out behind Lucas Auer. And ahead of Esme Hawkey. So he's come out in 15th place, I reckon. But he's going to have a very nice set of brand new Michelins on that car for the, 12 minutes or so until the checkered flag comes. So it is not inconceivable that he could make some ground up yet in this 50-minute plus 1 lap race. Right, under the bridge they go. Sophia Florsch 3rd, being swallowed up now by Liam Lawson in the number 30 Red Bull AF Corsa Ferrari. Who'd have thought partnership between Red Bull and Ferrari. Bitter rivals in Formula 1, but a joint project here. And Liam Lawson, set, fair, ready to pounce. Surely he's going to come through here on the way to Parabolica. Sophia Florsch cannot do anything about it because she's got very old tyres now. And I wonder if this will be the point at which she'll come in and make the pit stop. Does she turn right or does she keep going? She might keep going. Yes, she's going to stay out. So down to 4th place for her. In fact, 3rd it will be, won't it? Because Maini's been into the pits, so Max Buch leads the race. He's the only one yet to be in the pits, and Mercedes still leads. He's 20.9 seconds clear, but he's got his pit stop to make. Liam Lawson in 2nd place there, the driver at the head of the field that you can see, making his way out of the first chicane. He's effectively the race leader in the Ferrari. Sophia Florsch is 3rd on track, but has yet to make her pit stop as well. So Vincent Abril will effectively become 2nd, and Max Gotts 3rd, looking for his first DTM podium. Or will he? Because Alex Albon's next up. Albon's last lap time was slower, though, by about half a second. But Albon, I'll be relatively happy, I think, with 5th place, if that's what he gets, given where he started on the grid. Right, there's your race leader, Max Buch, making his way through over the curbs. He's got 10 minutes or so to go before the end of the race. He's had a pretty lonely track both in front of him and in the mirrors for quite a while now. The question is, when's he going to go for the pit stop? When's he going to put the new tyres on? And how long is he going to give himself to do it? He's still lapping pretty quickly. I mean, his last lap was a 149.4. His best lap in the race is a 149.1. So he's really managed those tyres very well indeed. And it looks like the AB team is ready. So that'll be for Sophia Florsch. He's currently running in 3rd place. What about Muka Motorsport, though? Are they ready yet for Max Buch? Maybe not quite. So Sophia has now got Vincent Abril right behind. Max Gotts is closing in as well. Could still be a scrap between Abril and Gotts for the steps on the podium. It looks like Sophia is coming in. The team was certainly ready for her. And yeah, Sophia Florsch makes her way into the pits now for her first DTM pit stop. Well, she's going to get some progress out of this. Definitely, having started at the back of the field. Can she get into the points? Not quite sure she's going to have enough time to do that, but it's going to be fun watching her try. So she brings the V10 Audi in and raced in Formula 3 last year. First woman to race in the FIA Formula 3 Championship since it replaced GP3 back in 2019. Decent pit stop, as we always expect from Abt.
Traffic into turn 1 of
Abt Sportsline with a strong record of DTM racing in Italy. Got this circuit because we haven't been to Monza before. They had 3 race wins here in the past with Matthias Ekstrom, Timo Scheider and Nico Muller just a couple of years ago at Misano, the last time the DTM came to Italy. Christian Abt won a German Super Touring car race in Italy as well in Misano. And Daniel Abt won at this track in GP3 back in 2012. So the family has great success here. So you're looking at the battle between Sheldon van der Linde and Lucas Auer. We're currently 13th and 14th on track. Not much at all between them. This is Max Gotz, who is on for a podium here. When it all settles down, he should be third. Can he be second is the question. Through that sector, Vincent Abril does a 36.845. Max Gotz does a 36.855, so a hundredth of a second between them on that sector of the lap. Last time around, Gotz did a 1:48.6 though, and Abril a 1:49.0. So the previous lap, he was about 4/10 of a second quicker. He's not given in on second place yet. Max Spook has come in. So the race leader in. Last one to make a pit stop with, 7.5 minutes or so to go. Fresh Michelin rubber is put onto the car, and the Mercedes. Let's rip.
Watch the white line for pit exit. Watch the white line at the exit.
So Muka Motorsport released their man. And Liam Lawson, he's going to pick up the lead of the race now. He's going to come out just behind Marco Vittman. So, as I say, good chance of a top 10 finish and some points here. Still got to get the car up to speed, though, or more importantly, the tyres up to speed. He's going to come out just in front of Kelvin van der Linde. He's had all the action so far today. But this is your top 3 now that the pit stops are done. Lawson, Abril in the yellow and blue Mercedes, the first of the all-pink Mercedes, or largely all-pink Mercedes, with the BWT sponsorship of Max Gotz, number 4. So they're first, second and third. Alex Albon, 4th. Danny Hunkerdale will be 5th. And then, who's it going to be for 6th place? Van der Linde, or is it going to be Max Book? Max, as I say, is going to have a nice set of fresh boots on the car for the last portion of this race. Well, Liam Lawson was 2.4 seconds clear at the end of the previous lap. And pushing hard. Book's still shown as the leader because he crossed the line as the leader on the other side of the pit wall. But of course, he's made his stop now. So these are the top 3. Lawson, Abril and Gotz. And Gotz just can't quite get there. Alex Albon has got Danny Hunkerdale maybe creeping up towards him as well. Danny was 2/10 quicker in the last sector. So he's closing in as well in the number 8 Mercedes. As I say, starting on the front row of the grid, you want at least a podium out of the race. Doesn't quite look like it's going to be that way for the Spaniard yet, but he might get one more position out of this, and he'll be pretty happy if the scalp that he can collect is that of Alex Albon, I would have thought. Liam Lawson controlling things here at the head of the pack. A relatively early pit stop, so he's, again, been very smart in the way he's managed the tyres here. Been really quick where he's needed to be, and he's managed the tyres at other places. So a New Zealander looking strong. I'm trying to rack my brains now to think if there's ever been another New Zealander winning in DTM. I'm not sure there has. Might be corrected on that, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. So could be another historic moment this for Liam. Now he's one to watch. Whatever he's raced in so far in his still young career, he's been very impressive in coming up through the single-seater ranks. Toyota Racing champion in New Zealand back in 2019. Before that, he started in Formula Ford racing. He was a Formula Ford champion in New Zealand. Done some FIA Formula 3 racing and some Euro Formula Open racing as well, in which he was a championship runner-up a couple of seasons ago. And as I say, up to the dizzying heights of Formula 2, and surely many are thinking about his name being connected at some point in the not too distant future with Formula 1, because he's a real talent. So Liam Lawson controlling things here at the head of the field in the Red Bull AF Corsa Ferrari. Second place for the yellow and blue Mercedes of Vincent Abril, run by Team HRT. And then Max Gotz and his teammates The very different but equally bright pink Mercedes, number 4 in 3rd place. They're the drivers on for the podium. Albon is 4th, Hungadea is 5th, Van der Linde battling to 6th place, Kelvin van der Linde that is. Nico Müller 7th, Marco Vittman 8th. Max Buch has come out of all this in 9th place, so well up inside the points. Rockenfeller 10th, Moot 11th, Sheldon van der Linde 12th, and you're watching Lucas Auer there in 13th place. Arjan Maini, though, might be flying after him pretty shortly in 14th with the fresh rubber on. Esme Hawkey is 15th, Sophia Florsch has come out of the pits in 16th, and Timo Glock is the last of the runners in 17th. Difficult race for Timo. Dev Gore and Philip Ellis, we lost early on in the race. A real shame for them, particularly for Philip Ellis, who'd made such a good start to the race, was running up into 4th place, wasn't it, at one point? So Philip Ellis definitely looks like he's got good speed in these cars. So Liam Lawson's advantage, just over 2 seconds at the start of the lap. And he's just managing the gap now, managing the car. In turn, Vincent Abril has managed to edge away over the last couple of laps from Max Gotts, who looked like he was getting pretty close to him. There's Max Buch with the freshest Michelin tyres of all, because he was the last of the pit stoppers very recently. It's not really stopping Marco Vittman trying to hang on to him, though, with much older tyres. But he has been overtaken, so Buch is now up to 8th place. Vittman's down to 9th, and the next target is going to be for Nico Müller, who not only has old tyres on the car, but he's had tyres which have probably had a bit of a flat spot as well after that contact with Hungadea and the spin that happened subsequently. So don't be surprised if Max Buch gets another place in the not too distant future, although time is running short now and could get up to 7th place. Just the banking there of the old Monza circuit you saw to the right of the picture, this place which is absolutely steeped in history, the hugely steep banking which I've walked around. You can still walk around it. I've walked around it in the past when I've been here a few years ago, and it's so steep. It gives you a real sense of the bravery and commitment that those old Formula 1 and single-seater races used to have back in the 1950s and 60s when they were using that. Used for Formula 1 Grand Prix, and that guise the circuit in 1955, 56, 60 and 61. Last used the banking in 1969 for a 1,000-kilometre race. As I say, it's still very much part of the heritage and the history here at Monza. As Max Scott's got a bit closer to Abril in the background, maybe so. The gap between them 0.5 seconds at the start of the lap. No, actually, through the first sector, Abril was just about a tenth quicker. Scott's definitely not giving in on this, though. Do you throw caution to the wind and go for second place, or do you settle for your first podium in DTM, I suppose is the question. But all you can do as the driver behind is keep up the pressure, really. Try to force the driver ahead into a mistake. It's got plenty of room for error because there's a big gap back to Alex Albon of about 5 seconds. He, in turn, is about 6 tenths clear of Danny Hungadea. And they're lapping very similarly. Albon was half a tenth quicker through the previous sector. And Max Scott still pushing on. And through that sector, he was a bit quicker. So he lost a tenth in the first sector, but he gained a tenth and a half back in the middle of the lap, keeping an eye on the background as well. The other pink Mercedes looming in the mirrors of Alex Albon. As the time ticks down now to less than a lap time remaining of 33 seconds. So penultimate lap this will be. 50 minutes plus 1 lap. Through they go. 23 seconds left to go, rather, as they come out of the parabolica. And over the line now for Liam Lawson, with less than 20 seconds left on the clock. And he's still 2.5 seconds clear. What about the gap between second and third? 6 tenths of a second. A 1:47.9, a good lap from Max Scott. So, yeah, he took, in the end, 3 tenths of a second out of Vincent Abril. And there we got Alex Albon still working hard to fend off Danny Hungadea for 4th place. And here is Max Buch coming in the white Mercedes onto the tail now of Nico Müller. This is the battle for 7th place. Müller's on really old tyres. Max Buch is on really new tyres, so it shouldn't be much of a contest. And Nico Müller, he's already on the wrong line for the next corner coming up. He's just going to have to try and sit there on the inside of Curva Grande, but it will put him on the outside for the next chicane, for the braking zone there. And Max Buch will come through. And has he got time even to try and catch Kelvin van der Linde? Well, Max just squeezes through because Nico makes him work for it, but in the end has to get right off the throttle and he'll lose time. So Max Buch gains the place up to 7th position for the driver that led so many laps because he left it so late to pit, but that tactic has definitely worked for him. Liam Lawson, last lap of the race now, coming through on the way into the last of the chicanes, controlling the pace. 2.5 seconds clear of Vincent Abril, who's, I think, just got enough in the bag now to be able to keep Max Gotts behind him, despite Max's real brave attempt on the previous lap. Just behind again, kicking up the dust, is Alex Albon, but I think he should be able to fend off Danny Hunkadea. But this is going to be a historic race win for the team, for Ferrari and for the driver, because it is Liam Lawson that is making his way out of the Parabolica for the Red Bull AF Corsa team. He wins the first round of the DTM 2021 season with a superb demonstration of driving and tactics. Liam Lawson, race number 1, win number 1, 100% record. Vincent Abril, the pole sitter, second, and Max Gotts gets his first DTM podium.
We can put winning for Ferrari and Monza on your CV now. That's checked off.
So the team on the radio congratulating Liam Lawson on what was really a flawless drive. The tactics were excellent, the driving was excellent. Great team effort by everybody that's got up onto the podium. I think Team HRT are going to be very happy with Max Gotts' performance there as well, to get himself that third place finish from 4th on the grid. And he's looked quick all weekend long, Max Gotts, so he gets his maiden DTM podium. And it's cheers all round at AF Corsa. You can see Marto Ferrari getting the hugs. There he is in the middle of the picture, the team boss, former racing driver. He's been running this team since the mid-1990s, stopped racing when he was just 28 years old to set up the team, and what great success they've had. And new to DTM, but already race winners. Whatever championship they go into, the AF Corsa team seem to do rather well in, and it's a great moment for them as well, because of course this is their home country and this is their home circuit. So superb demonstration and a good result as well for Alex Albon. Remember, he's not, well, nor is Liam Lawson, neither of them have driven or raced anything like this before, and yet there they are in 1st and 4th positions. So, and Alex had to come from a fair way down the grid as well, didn't he, to achieve that. So Alex Albon, I think, will be, he'd like to have been on the podium, but in the end I think he'd be fairly well satisfied with the performance and the result. He had some good entertaining battles out there as well. There, a replay of the moment that Liam Lawson took victory in this new era of DTM. First win for the team, for Ferrari, for Liam Lawson. Great drive as well, as I say, from Alex Albon, from, was it 14th on the grid. Vincent Abril will, I think, still be okay with second place. He's absolutely delighted to get pole position this morning. I'm not sure he quite expected it. So obviously there's only one place to go from pole position, and that's the win. Anywhere else he's going backwards. But actually, I think a pole position and a second place finish, I think Vincent Abril will still be with a smile on his face when we get to hear from him at the end of the race. And definitely Max Gotts is going to be happy with that third place finish. Probably one of the more disappointed drivers might be Danny Hunkadea. He's had a good result, 5th place, but I think it would have been after a podium, maybe thinking about a win as well. But still, it's a strong start to the season for the Spaniard, the sole Spaniard racing in the championship. He had perhaps a difficult year trying to develop the Aston Martin last time he was in DTM. He's never quite had a front-running car for very long in DTM. Even that season where he got a win and a podium at the Norris Ring, got a win at Brands Hatch, a podium at the Norris Ring. He was still inconsistent in terms of the car's performance that year, and only finished 15th in the championship. So this could be a really big turnaround for Danny. Former Macau Grand Prix winner, superstar in Formula 3 as well, back in his youth. Danny Hunkadea, former champion. There is, though, the youth of today, eh? Liam Lawson. It's been a good few weeks for New Zealand. The cricket team smashed England, particularly at Edgbaston a couple of weeks ago, and one of their other favourite sports, it's all about rugby, cricket and motor racing in New Zealand. They've got a terrific young prospect here as well with Liam Lawson. You can see the smile on his face without seeing much of his face, and he's applauded back. He receives the plaudits of the team who've done so much work to get him to this point. And they're going to remember this day, because I reckon in a few years' time they'll be able to say, oh yeah, Liam Lawson, that superstar, we worked with him. We took him to a race victory in DTM. So a great moment for all of them. Well done, Liam Lawson. Well done, Vincent Abreu. Well done, Matt Scotts as well. I'm going to say that maiden podium finish. So there you can see the podium is readied. We'll have some opportunity to hear from our top three and perhaps from some of the other drivers as well at the end of the race. The other day to come tomorrow, but they want to cool down first. Imagine how hot it was inside the cockpits of those cars. It doesn't matter so much now, though, when you've had a good result. And there's Vincent Abreu taking his helmet off there. The bespectacled Max Scotts. Yeah, I thought there'd be a smile on Max's face. He's well chuffed with that. And more to come, I reckon. And really nice camaraderie between the top three drivers here. Nice podiums for the helmets and gloves of the drivers as well. Music pumping. Give the chance for them to have a breather and a swig of water before they get called up onto the podium. That only seems fair enough. And they're a lovely moment as Liam Lawson ran into the arms of the team. A great rapport between them already. The win, the 25 points, the perfect start. And this was the key moment. Vincent Abreu had come out of the pits. He'd been leading the race. Liam Lawson then on older tyres, but tyres that were up to temperature, took the momentum into the corner at Ratifilia and dived effectively around the outside into the first part of the chicane, and he got the inside for the second part. And that was a driver that knew exactly what he was going to do and executed the move to perfection. Key moment, and it might just have been the moment that proved to be the one that got the race victory for Liam Lawson. They're the two drivers with good camaraderie at the end of the race. So Max Scotts to the right, to the left of the podium, Vincent Abreu. There's only one more driver to come now, and it's the driver that saw the checkered flag first. Onto the, or in front of the top step of the podium is Liam Lawson for New Zealand, race winner in the DTM, and will now get the national anthem of New Zealand. And already then time for some interviews. So with the Italian flag fluttering in the background, we're going to get to hear from all three of those drivers straight after the race. So we'll get that very shortly, the reaction to it. But, good to see the smiles and the relief after what's a difficult and testing day for the drivers. Very hot conditions, superstar in qualifying and second in the race was Vincent Abreu. Let's hear from him now.
We just heard superstar in qualifying and second in the race. What a weekend.
Yeah, obviously when you start on pole, you know what the goal is, but as I touched on before, no one was really sure of the strategies and the tires and everything, so I think we had a quite conservative approach, and in the end we just got pipped at the pit exit. It was tight, but there was no way with cold tires I could have held, so I'm very happy with the result.
From your point of view, great racetrack?
Yeah, I like this place. It's an old school type of track, which we don't have so much now, and it's great to start the season like this. I'm very happy for AMG and for the whole team, which put a lot of work in this program.
Merci, Vincent.
So I think a very satisfied, slightly, not quite 100% satisfied, but satisfied Vincent Abreu there. As I said earlier, when you're on pole position, you get greedy, don't you? You want to win the race, but I don't think it'll be too far around the corner if he keeps driving like this for Vincent Abreu. He certainly looks at home in the DTM, and you look at some of the names that are behind him in this race. He's beaten some very good drivers indeed. Lawson the winner, Abreu second, Gotts third, and the other drivers that finished in the points, Albon was fourth, Ankadeo was fifth, and Kelvin van der Linde rounding out the top six. Right, he's back in DTM, and he's onto the podium for the first time. Max Scotts.
Back in DTM, first time on the podium. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It was a great race. So starting from 4, ending on P3, which is great. So we had a good start, and this was like the key for having the chance to fight for the podium in the end.
How do you read the race? From outside, we thought fantastic, very close, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we decided to stop in the middle of the race about. I was thinking to stop earlier, but I felt quite good, and we could pull away. So it was not necessary to stop early, because in the end of the race you need some tires. The degradation here is quite high, so in the end it was the right decision to extend the first in the bit. And then we stopped about in the middle. So in the end, we had enough tires, and I was catching up to the front guys.
Happy Maximilian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Max Gott's there, third place finish for him, and he was really pushing, wasn't he, for the last 2 or 3 laps to try and get second place. He certainly wasn't settling just for a podium finish. He really did get close, particularly on the penultimate lap of the race, to Vincent Abril, but nobody could really get close to this man. Let's hear from him, Liam Lawson.
Congratulations, Liam, driving like a Red Bull.
Yeah, mate, it was a good race. It's a really good start to the year. I think it definitely hasn't sunk in yet, and it'll probably take a while. Obviously, we still got a job to do tomorrow, but it's definitely a good start. The car was really, really fast. We knew quali wasn't really our true pace, and as soon as we boxed early, the guys did a mega stop, and the car was just unleashed. When I had clear air, we had really good pace. So, yeah, really, really happy with that.
Our impression was at the end you just managed the gap.
Yeah. I mean, I was struggling a little bit, but also I wasn't flat out. I knew we had the margin, and potentially we need these tyres as well. So they started coming at me towards the ends, more or less on pace, and then the last couple of laps I backed it off a little bit, just to manage that.
In general, how do you rate this new DTM?
What, sorry?
How do you rate the new DTM?
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. You know, it's a championship that, when I did Formula 4 a few years ago, we raced alongside DTM, and I remember how big it was. So it's really a huge opportunity to be driving in this championship, and definitely couldn't ask for a better start.
Once again, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from our race winner. What a superstar he's going to be, Liam Lawson. Terrific drive. And, well, he went okay qualifying. Qualifying wasn't really our strong point this weekend, but yeah, for his first qualifying session, I think he did all right, really. And you could see he was on the front foot right from the word go, though. He started to just pick his way through the order, and as he said, great pit stop from the team, which really helped things. And then just the way he managed the car, and even at the end of the race, he seemed to be able to keep good speed. He said he was struggling a bit, but he had fairly old tyres by then. But he never really looked like giving it up, did he, once he'd made that move on Abril that we saw the replay of once Abril had come out of the pits. That was job done, really, and no looking back. So the question was, what do you think of the new look DTM, Liam Lawson? Well, he was never going to say I don't like it, was he? Because he's a race winner in it at the first time of asking. So it's his new favourite championship, this, and Liam Lawson becomes the early season points leader, of course, because he'll take the 25 points that come with that victory. 18 points will go the way of Vincent Abril for second, and Max Gott's will pick up the 15 points for third place. Well done in the points as well to Albon fourth, Hungadea fifth, Kelvin van der Linde in sixth. We had lots of battles out there. Max Buch, who came home in seventh, having started outside the top 10 with his different strategy of pitting late. Nico Muller, despite the spin, in eighth place after that contact with Danny Hungadea. Marco Vittman, a battling performance as ever to make some progress up the order and become the only BMW in the top 10. So he gets ninth place and a couple of points for that. And Mike Rockenfeller, who also pitted really early in the race, managed things as ever. Smart driving from Mike, and he takes the last of the championship points to come home in 10th place. Esteban Mucht was 11th, Sheldon van der Linde was 12th, Lucas Auer was 13th, Arjun Maini, who also pitted late, 14th, Esme Hawkey on a debut, 15th, Sophia Florsch made some progress up to 16th. She ran in the top 3 for much of the race with a late pit stop. Timo Glock was 17th, and there were non-finishes for Dev Gore and Philip Ellis. So slightly different sort of podium format. We had the drivers posing in front of the podium. They didn't quite do the podium in the end. They came for the interviews instead. But now this will be the sort of official podium presentation. And this is where the champagne's going to fly. I'm not sure you really want to be covered in sticky champagne on a hot day like this, but I'm sure there's some spare race suits that they're ready for tomorrow. So the 3 drivers are called up onto the podium. The winning team as well, they of course will get a trophy and some valuable points for the team's championship. And we now get the New Zealand national anthem. A massively proud moment for Liam Lawson. I guess there's going to be a tear in the eye of the friends and family watching this as well, because there he is on the top step of the podium. Right, bit of hesitation. Don't hesitate with the champagne is in hand, because you get wet. And I'm afraid Vincent Abril was the last to get the champagne open there. Well done as well to of course, for their win. It's Andrea Guidotti that's the team representative that's come up to pick their trophy for the winning team in the first round of DTM 2021. All to do again tomorrow, of course. The local time, 10:10 in the morning, is going to be qualifying 2, another 20-minute qualifying session, and then it's the same race time here, local time in Italy tomorrow, of just after 1:30 for the race start. But of course, again, we'll bring you all the build up to that 15 minutes beforehand on the grid, and some reaction to qualifying. And there's the trophy, first place driver, the circuit map of Monza on it. Champagne is swigged. I hope it's cold, because it's a hot day out there. It's over 30 degrees now, so even during the race the temperatures were rising. Track temperature almost at 46 degrees now. Right, well, it was a pretty lively race for Arjun Maini. He got up into the top 3 for a while, and we can hear from Arjun now at the end of his first DTM race.
Aaron, first DTM race, just tell us about it.
Yeah, it was quite exciting. I think the start was quite interesting. I had a bit of bad positioning luck-wise at the start, so I missed out on a few places. But the second half of the race was really good for me. I think pace-wise, we still have a few issues. I think if we sort out, I think we can be really strong tomorrow. And I mean, I'm in one of the best cars here, the Mercedes AMG, and the team I think, will get all our issues sorted, and we can be quite strong tomorrow.
So you left DTM?
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done to Arjun Maini, the Indian driver who can't be too far away from getting in the points. He certainly was very impressive yesterday in the second free practice session, where he got himself up into the top 4. So I think lots more to come from Arjun, his first time at DTM. Still learning the ropes, of course, him and the team, learning the car. And Monza's a bit of a unique circuit as well to try and get used to. It's unlike any other circuit really on the DTM calendar. So a decent start, but of course you always want more as a racing driver, silverware predominantly, but first thing he'll be looking to do is score his first DTM points tomorrow, and if you can have a good qualifying session, that is what he'll do. So another race of course to come, and there you can see that's on Abril at the top of the championship standings. There's a long way to go yet, but take a screenshot of that, because there he is right at the top of the board ahead of Abril Gotts. Of course, they're all based on race positions in this first race of the season. And we have the points from qualifying as well to add to the 25 points from the race. Got 3 points for pole position, 2 points for second, and a point for third. So a maximum of 28 points for each race. Liam Lawson on 25 though leads the way, as we look forward to race 2 here at Monza tomorrow. We'll round out today, though, with some highlights of day 1 of DTM at Monza.